working on a project where there was a Roman coin found down in a cavern, supposedly, but I'm a skeptic of these Roman coins being found, and because I've heard there's also been other Roman coins found in the Uintas and elsewhere here in Utah, and it just doesn't make really sense to me in Utah and being here. But to where this other Roman coin was found, I'm bringing in a field team member of Garrett to come and detect this cavern to see if we can't find anything else, to see if this is real or not. But what I know, you have some thoughts about the Romans being here, and where I'm a skeptic, man, convince me. Why would these Roman coins be here? Why isn't this a plant and a fraud and everything else? What's your opinion?
Well, first off, my objective wouldn't be to convince you, because that's something you've got to do all by yourself.
And I'm hard-headed.
Yeah, so am I. And, you know, if somebody had told me this, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I'd be struggling with it too. But I think what started this is, you know, throughout the last 30 years of research, I've come up with a lot of different things, discoveries that have been made that can be nothing more than Roman. So I've always kept my mind open when it comes to those things. Previous cultures, shall we say. And over the years, the evidence just keeps mounting and pointing towards what appears to be a fact, that Romans were definitely here, and other cultures even prior to them. The one thing that really got me digging into this was not so much the artifacts that have been discovered, and they are out there. Of course, the academics very quickly blame it on some poor soldier of fortune from the Spanish that, you know, couldn't afford top-of-the-line armor, and so he brought his family's heirlooms, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard the academics say. But anyway, the Tucson lead crosses. And there's going to be people out there going, oh, they've proved those to be false, and they've done this and they've done that. And I'm telling you, the hell they have.
Well, I agree with you. I got into the records of the original finders of that, and how they was ramrodded by the academia. When in the beginning, they was on board, they believed it, they was finding some of this stuff themselves, and then all of a sudden the Smithsonian got involved, and all of a sudden it was all a fraud.
You know, and a lot of people wonder, why would Smithsonian do this and blah blah blah, and it all comes down to legal claim. The same reason that Johnny Forest Service, if he finds a monument that may or may not give evidence to past cultures, he won't touch it with a 40-foot pole, because he knows it's a legal claim. As far as carvings on trees, you tell Johnny Forest Service where that carving is, and it'll be gone within a week.
Now that don't make a lot of sense either, because, man, who cared what happened, 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years? Cultures have been taken over, ran out, changed hands since the beginning of time.
I want to direct your attention to up here on the hill, this first hill, and you'll see a monument up there. And not too far in front of that monument is another monument. That's private property. I have yet to go back and see if it is a turtle monument. Just never get time to do it. It's on private property, so, Anyway, where were we? Oh, Romans. One of the best write-ups that I've read concerning the Tucson lead crosses was done by Cyclone Covey, and I was hell-bent on getting hold of this guy before he passed away, because I knew he was getting up in his age. I talked to him a couple months before his passing, and one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to. In fact, he told me that I could do whatever I wanted as far as reproducing his books, and I did reproduce one of his books called Colorless. You know, if you go back into Great Britain's history and you look heavily into their history, you'll find a period of time which they call the Western Roman Empire, which collapsed in 400 AD. And they try to lead you to believe that this place that they attribute to the Western Roman Empire, they want you to believe it's France, Spain, you know, the western part of their area. And I'm telling you, that's not the Western Roman Empire. This continent is the Western Roman Empire. That same empire rose again about 775 AD, which beautifully correlates with the Tucson lead crosses. And from 775 up to about 1050, that would be the time in which I would say the Roman colonies came here. I think what grabbed my interest most about these Tucson lead crosses was not so much the crosses themselves, the artifacts themselves, it was the story that they told. Because the people that they're talking about are my direct descendants. And as you know, I do a lot of genealogy, and particularly in these kind of things, because I want to know, did King Arthur actually exist? Did Prince Madoc exist? And if they did, where do you find the best history about it, you know? I like original source material. I'm not going to go to Wiki and listen to all this BS that the Wiki writers seem to come up with, which is one of the reasons why I coined the phrase that intelligence is not the regurgitation of indoctrination. You know, just because you keep repeating something doesn't make it true. Find out why it's true, if it is. If it's bullshit, find out why it's bullshit. Can I say that on camera?
I'll let it out.
No, don't. Because that's what it is. It is what it is. There's been many things discovered. I mean, I would challenge anyone to go find an old map. Not a map from the 1800s, not a map from the early 1900s. Find an old map. A map from the 1600s, 1700s, 1500s that shows Septimania. It didn't exist, at least not over there. This is where Septimania was.
For those that don't know what Septimania is, what's that?
Septimania would be the place where the 7 cities surrounded a lake, and this in and of itself is what many cultures have been looking for, and it goes much, much deeper than just that. But this is why these people have been coming here. The French, the Spanish, the Romans, the Indo-Greeks, they're all looking for the same place. Now, whether I would assume that the Indo-Greeks found it, because they're the ones that built the 7 cities. By the time the Romans got here, those cities, I'm pretty sure, were in dire ruins.
Well, right here in this valley, right here in the Strawberry Valley where we're driving through, you know, Father Escalante mentions in his journal that they are coming across some old ruins of stone buildings here in this Upper Mountain Valley right here, and they're saying that Father Escalante was the first white person to come through here in 1776. Where did all these old stone ruins come from?
Well, I think one of the favorite tactics in order to hide something that's so big that you can't keep it from the public is build a damn reservoir. You know, like Lake Mead, Lake Powell, Flaming Gorge, Strawberry Reservoir. There's no quicker way to cover something up. Lake Mead covers 5 miles of an ancient city that was likely built by Indo-Greeks. And I say likely because there's been many cultures that have occupied that. In fact, I wouldn't doubt it. I can't prove it, but I can't even really give any good evidence. But I think it's where the ancient city, the first city that the Aztecs talk about that has ever existed on this continent, Anahuac, if I said it right. Anahuac.
Man, I was specifically go into Utah, the Romans into Utah, because there's claims of Roman coins, Roman artifacts found in here in Utah, and I've been a big skeptic of that. But you has given me why that is possible. So tell me why that's possible.
Well, the people that could provide the evidence for these things, most of them aren't going to divulge what they found and so forth, because, you know, let's face it, I'm convinced that there is a organization, a power out there that just doesn't want you to know these things. And I'm sure there's many reasons other than legal claim that would motivate them to do this and to keep that kind of information quiet. I mean, you think about it, this so-called government that we have right now, this corporation, imagine how pissed off some people would be from other countries if they found out that they've sold the exact same property that they sold to them, they've sold it to other countries as well. I mean, what do they care? You know, one of these days it's going to end up in a battle.
So can you tell me, and you don't hear these stories unless you're in the right circles, but can you tell me some of the stories of some of the things that has been found, not the locations or anything, but some of what has been found?
There's been a lot more than just Roman coins. It's difficult to find things from that era because they just don't last that long. I think some of the best evidences that have been found in the Uintas lies with a friend of mine, but I can't repeat what he has told me. It'd have to be something he would choose to do, because a lot of times when you receive information, it always comes in the form of now you can't tell anyone.
Yep, and I get that a lot, so I get that. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, you gotta stick to your guns. Other words,
you have to.
Your word's not worth a shit. You know.
That's exactly right.
I like the things that have been discovered that they couldn't hide, and so they come up with some BS story as to why it's there. And one of the ones I like is the male armor that they have found down in New Mexico and Texas, and I wrote a few articles about that. There's other things too. You know, there's been monuments that, you know, they want to believe that it's from Knights Templars or, you know, something like that, but it's not. It's Romans. One of these days we got to talk about Knights Templars and what the academics have done to them that the Vatican hasn't done. There's so much to this. There's been a lot of things found in the Uintas that we're pretty certain is of Roman origin. The only way we're going to find out for sure is a discovery needs to be made which is quite possible, that we can document with indisputable evidence so that if anyone does try to cover it up, it would be pointless. And you know how the media is. They can cover up anything they want and make you believe whatever they want because, you know, people are not willing to take the responsibility for their own actions, and that includes being ignorant. You see it all the time on Facebook, you know, and, you know, they're blaming Pelosi or they're blaming Biden or whoever. You know, they're responsible for destroying our Constitution, and, you know, it's bullshit. It's the people's fault for falling asleep. And it's the same thing when it comes to these artifacts, you know.
So, and I guess,
indisputable evidence.
So I guess it's pretty tough to even tell this story because the people that found this stuff don't want it known, so it's pretty tough to even tell the story when you can't even tell what's been found. So
right, and right now I can't give you anything solid that's right here in Utah other than an individual that I know that has found a lot of Roman coins, and it really doesn't help to tell the story, even if I could, because you can come up with 1,000 reasons why there's Roman coins here. What we're looking for is indisputable evidence, and we've got at least 3 sites coming up that we're going to be working on this year, 2 of which I'm about 100% convinced are of Roman origin. And if they are, and we do manage to find them, and we do manage to get into them, I think we're going to have more evidence than we know what to do with. And we have another one that we're working on, but it has to be played with kids' gloves, that we believe to be Indo-Greek.
Okay, man, when you find this evidence, man, I want to see it.
Well, I thought you were coming.
I'm coming. I'm going to see it. If there's real proof evidence, I want to see it. And with that said, man, that's a wrap.